Welcome. Welcome to the Formula for Love. Unlock the proven formula to manifest the man of your dreams. So if you're joining us live, please do say hello. Please do let me know where it is that you are joining us from. I always love to know where my wonderful ladies are. And then if you're not joining us live and you're catching the replay, by all means, feel free to comment below, comment questions that you have as we go along. Once again, if you're joining us live or you are catching the replay, I absolutely love to answer questions. I love to hear if you're resonating with the content. You can drop in emojis, you can drop in hearts. I am here for you. Quite honestly, I wouldn't have a business if you didn't have your struggles with love, but I am here to tell you as a love and manifestation coach, you're not alone. Everything that I have learned throughout the years as far as love and conscious manifestation, I now teach it to you. And so I've had definitely plenties of struggles in my life. And I know plenty of you have read the book Destination Soulmate, so you're aware of it. I know plenty of you have been in my programs or we've even worked together. And so the only reason that I am able to teach you all of this stuff is because I've gone through the ringer, right? When it comes to love. So who I am, in case you don't know, and this is the first time, thanks for joining me. We have over 200 women signed up for this training. I think we even have a couple of men as well. And so my name is Emyrald Sinclair. I'm a love and manifestation coach. I have been doing this work for about 4 years now, guiding women into conscious relationships, fulfilling relationships, healthy relationships with a man who truly sees you for who you are. But this means obviously you need to see you for who you are. So a big part of this journey is you getting clear on what you want, you being your best self, and you attracting in that match. So that is what I do. This is what I am here to teach you. And once again, as you are jumping on live, say hello. Let me know where it is you are joining us from. I would love to know. So how did I get into all this? I think it's really important that you understand the history of it. So my dad is a hypnotherapist, which means from a very young age, I'm going to say about high school, he became a hypnotherapist in high school. He got into the mind, right? And really started to understand how your past stories can affect your present reality and how your current thoughts and belief systems affect your future reality. And so he planted that seed back in high school. And that's what started my journey into personal growth and manifestation, aka conscious creation. Now, I had that seed planted, which is good because now fast forward 16, 17, 18 years later, now it's what I teach. So I think it's important to have that seed planted and that understanding. Hi, Jody, Minnesota. Is it Raina from Maryland? Karen, I know you're in Illinois right now, soon to be Florida. Okay, so that's how that began. Then at about the same time, when I was 16, the love of my life dumped me. Cheated on him, he dumped me, and I built a wall around my heart. I decided that men were untrustworthy. I decided love was difficult, whatever it is. I made up all these stories because I didn't want to be hurt again. It was devastating. I could really even still today probably tap into that pain. So that's the first time I built a wall around my heart. And I would be curious to know, have you ever put a wall around your heart? Do you still feel like there's a wall around your heart? Is there a part of you that feels like you have to do it on your own and men are not to be trusted? If so, you're not alone. Drop an emoji, give me a yes, give me a thumbs up. This heart wall concept is definitely the biggest thing I help my clients work through, because when you have a wall around your heart and you're trying to protect yourself for whatever reason, you're ultimately pushing men and the relationships away that you desire. And so I saw this at 16. I didn't know it at the time, but of course, hindsight's 2020. And as I really started to reflect on all the relationships I had in my 20s, I had a wall around my heart. And so I wasn't allowing men in. I was pushing them away. They weren't good enough. I wasn't good enough for them, whatever it was. I was seeing this being manifested in my reality because of that one experience, that traumatic experience at 16 of the love of my life dumping me. And so even though I had the seed planted of everything I learned from my father around, your thoughts create your future reality, or your past thoughts and belief systems actually affect your current reality. So I had all of that knowledge around manifestation, but I still kept having all of these failed relationships, one after the other, right? Because I had built that wall around my heart and I thought relationships weren't safe. So lucky for me though, I'm not the type of woman who's going to settle and just say, well, this is how it is, or men suck, I'll be single forever. Instead, I pretty much studied everything I could get my hands on. And the highlight, or the biggest part of that journey, was between the ages of 22 and 28. And so at that time, like, I was studying with coaches, I was reading books, taking periods of abstinence, times when I wasn't dating, times when I wasn't having sex. Like, I was really trying to figure it all out, because once again, that seed was planted. So I'm like, how do I get the relationship I want? Like, with everything I know, that I'm creating my reality. Lisa, yeah, still struggle with the wall. I hear you. You're not alone. You're definitely not alone, but we can work through that. And so my breaking point, because there's always this breaking point, and for those of you that have read Destination Soulmate, this is the Tim story, was at 28, when I had finally opened my heart again after all these years of work, left me on my birthday at my best friend's house. And that's really was when I decided, all right, enough's enough. I need to figure this out. And so from 28 to 29, I would say that was the biggest part of my journey of, I'm going to figure this out. I stopped dating. I hired a love coach, went through her program. And even though I'd already been doing all of this work for many, many years, it was like I was just so tired of getting hurt. Like, the 27th year when I turned 28 was just like a downward spiral of one relationship or failure after another, but it was like getting closer and closer and closer. And I remember even at one point sitting in my friend's hot tub saying, like, this has to be the bottom, because it's like happening so much faster and faster. And so I thought about that swirl of, like, it happened, and then time passes and it happens, and then it took quicker and quicker, like, get hurt. And so finally I was like, I'm figuring this shit out. So that was like that final year when I had hired a love coach and, like, finally was able to put everything together, and then everything I knew about manifestation and conscious creation, that's when I had manifested a really amazing man who wanted to commit to me at the age of 29. And a lot of you know my story with Ron, my ex. He helped me, or he was the impetus behind creating this love coaching business, because I realized I'm onto something. Like, I was able to move through all of my crap and take down my heart wall and manifest this relationship that I wanted. And actually, the first guy I manifested was at 22, when I was just learning this stuff. And so, like, I've never done online dating. I've never been set up. It's always been a really conscious process of manifestation, of understanding how my thoughts and belief systems create my reality. Spoiler alert. And so Ron and I were together for about 5 years, and then it reached the point where we were no longer in alignment. Like, I wanted different things. He wanted different things. We couldn't meet each other's needs. And that's okay. Like, I don't feel any shame or hardship around that. I don't think you should stay with someone if it's no longer in alignment. I think you, of course, can learn and grow and evolve with someone and be with them for your entire life. I totally believe in that, but I don't believe in that old paradigm that happily ever after equals forever with the same person if it's no longer in alignment. So Ron and I got to the point where we could, and then we went our separate ways. And then my next relationship, a lot of you know about Kurt. I met him 5 days after Ron and I moved out of his house. And so Kurt was kind of an unconscious manifestation. So I would say with B, the first guy I manifested, like, I made the list, got really clear. Ron, same thing, like, made the list, got really clear things I teach my clients and the formula for love. But with Kurt, it was more at that point, I had done all the work. And so I just became love. I just became like, well, of course it's going to happen. Of course there's great men out there. Of course they match who I am. Of course he's going to show up with what I want. And so it just kind of unconsciously happened, which is that next level manifestation that is not what I'm here to teach you today. I'm here to teach you the conscious process. But I, of course, wanted to share with you my journey and how I've evolved from what's wrong with me, struggling, why do the men always leave me, why am I not good enough, to consciously manifesting a man at 22, consciously manifesting a man at 28, consciously manifesting Kurt last year. And that's what I want to share with you. So you can be reactive to what life throws at you, or you can take control and consciously manifest the man of your dreams, which is what I'm here. So if we're ready, if we're excited, say hell yes, drop me emoji. I'm excited to share with you this love formula that I am teaching you, that has attracted in my partners, that attracts in my clients' partners. And now my hope and intention is to teach you how to attract in your partner. And so yeah, give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, give me some emojis. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to say is my mission is also bigger than teaching you to get the guy. Because while I think we're meant to have our desires, and while I personally believe life is so much more enjoyable when we have someone to share it with, like think about it, if something good happens, the first thing you want to do is call someone and share it. So I absolutely do believe that we're meant to have love, we're meant to have partnership, we're meant to share our lives. Don't get me wrong. But my mission is bigger than that. I believe that you're meant to have what you desire in life, period. And you can have that. You've just been conditioned to believe that you can't have it, which is where I come in. So when you learn how to manifest the guy, you can ultimately manifest anything in your life that you desire. So that's the bigger mission behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. But of course, we are women. We want relationship, and we don't just want any relationship, because I'm sure you go out to a bar or wherever and find a relationship. But I want you to have that deep, connective, communicative, loving, open, supportive relationship. That's why I'm here. All right, we got yeses, we got hell yeses, we got some hearts. I love it. Good. You are here, you are engaged, you're excited. Let us begin, my beautiful, beautiful ladies. So the overview, and then I'll give you the formula and I'll share my screen so you can see it. You can even write it down and you can even take notes. And once again, ask me any questions you have. If I don't get to them while I'm talking, I'll get to them at the end. So the overview of manifesting your dream partner involves three things. So the first thing is the belief that you can have it. And if someone wants to type that in, that would be awesome. And belief systems do have to do with self-love and confidence, right? You can't manifest something if you don't believe it's possible. You can't manifest $1 million if you don't believe you can have it. You can't manifest your dream partner if you don't believe that you can have it. And so the first part is that self-love and confidence, which I know a lot of people struggle with. Trust me, I work with all of my clients on this. Second thing, now you have to believe that it exists. So this is more mindset and belief systems, which I call your BS, because they are most often the times. And what I mean by that is you can't manifest something if you don't believe it exists. So now you have to shift from that self-love and confidence up to the mind of, okay, but do I actually believe that person is out there? Or like, for example, Karen, with your job, you have to believe that that type of job that you want that supports you to travel around the US exists. If you don't believe that type of job exists, you can't have it. And then the third part is inspired action. Now, this is a lot different from action. A lot of people take action. They get on all the online dating websites and then they wonder why it's not working for them. Whereas with my private clients, we work together, and by 4, 5, 6 months, then they take inspired action to go on the dating app. And then the second date, first date, third date, bam, there he is. What's the difference? They did those first 2 steps first. So I'm sure some of you can resonate with that, right? So you can't just hope and pray and visualize. You do have to take action. So what would you say if you had to guess? Would you say your biggest struggle is 1, the belief you can have it, 2, the belief that it actually exists, or 3, taking the right types of inspired action? So 1, 2, or 3. Karen, thank you for typing that in. Hi, Nell. Is it Nell or Nelly? Yes, Queen. Yes. All right. So Karen, thanks for typing those in. You're amazing. I love you. So the belief that you can have it, the belief that it exists, or inspired action, where do you think you struggle with most right now? And it can be all 3. That's totally cool. Been there. Okay. Now the belief that it exists, so that he's out there. You're not the only one. A lot of my clients think like they're high performers and they asking for so much. And they're like, that guy couldn't possibly exist. And I'm like, girl, you're beautiful, amazing. But you're not the only person on the planet. And if you exist, then he exists, provided you are embodying those traits that you desire. It's another little secret of manifestation. All right, Raina, 1 and 2. Nell, it is Nell. Okay, great. Jody, 1 and then 2. Karen, number 3. Betsy, all of the above. Y'all are amazing. And once again, trust me, I've been here. I've struggled with all of these. And I'd say to an extent, like, I still work on these things. The journey's never over. Oh, hi, Fabiana, number 1. Esther, that it exists, number 2. Hi, Esther, good to see you, babe. Good, all right, so we got the whole spectrum. So we're gonna dig into all of these. So let's get to the formula for love. Let me share my screen. All right, so now can you see this? Once again, this is my first time doing Zoom and Facebook and sharing screens and all of that, always learning. So I'm gonna need some of you to give me a thumbs up or a yes if you can see the formula for love here on my screen. It should say self-love and confidence in parentheses, minus your limiting BS, and all of that's in brackets, times massive inspired action equals manifesting your partner. Can we see that? I'm gonna pause for a second and get an amen or a hell yes. Good. We got yeses. Love it. Okay, so this is the formula. Simple, but hard, right? Right. So you got to work on that self-love and confidence bit, which is the belief that it's possible for you. You got to remove those limiting BS, which is, oh, but he couldn't possibly exist because all the men I'm meeting aren't good enough, or they're not spiritual, or they don't have money, or they have kids, or they're too young, or they're too old, or whatever it is, right? You've got those stories. But then once you've got that handled, you have to take massive inspired action. And a lot of women do it wrong. They take action just for the sake of taking action, and they haven't done the first 2 parts of the equation. So let me stop the share. And okay, good. Mertan can see it. Betsy, yeah. Good. The delay throws me off. So that's the formula, okay? So let's dig into it. So part 1 of the formula is self-love and confidence. So for those of you that think that's your challenge, that's the belief that you can have it. That's the belief in yourself. That's the belief in your worth, in your value. And so you will never manifest it if you don't believe it's possible for you, right? Like, you have to believe that you're worthy of what you desire. The biggest challenge, and this is just the world we live in, is you have been programmed to believe those stories like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not thin enough, you're not whatever enough, like you didn't come from the right family, or it's just never going to happen for you. So what would you say is your biggest story? Because I'm going to give you an exercise to do that I do with my clients. It's really powerful and it's really simple. And I believe in giving my clients really simple exercises that works, because it really doesn't have to be complicated. And I want to remind you that your belief system around love and what's possible for you is not right or wrong. A belief system is formed when you think thoughts over and over and over again. A belief system can be formed if you had like just one traumatic experience. Maybe your father or your mother yelled at you and said, you'll never amount to nothing, you're unworthy. Or maybe your mom was always saying things like, men are not to be trusted. You have to do it on your own if you're going to make it in this world. So things like that can have a really powerful influence on creating the subconscious belief system within you. So for those of you, and even if you didn't say number 1 was your biggest struggle, I want you to think about, when you think about manifesting the partner you desire, what are your own insecurities that have to do with you? Is it that you're not thin enough? I was chatting with one of my clients. She's like, Emyrald, I used to think it was because I didn't look a certain way. I didn't have the skin. I didn't have the hair. I didn't have the body. I didn't have the clothes. We're working on this, and now she's so much better, and she realizes it has nothing to do with looks. A lot of my clients struggle, not a lot, but some of them have very strong religious beliefs or cultural beliefs that are ingrained into them, right? So nobody's commenting, but that's okay. It's very private. I get it. So think about that one belief, and I want you to grab your journal, pen and paper. I want you to write it down. Once again, if you want to type it in the Facebook group, go for it. But I also realize this stuff is really private. Hi, Ashley Gordon. I love you. You're fire, girlfriend. Ashley's amazing, just so y'all know. Raina, 2 failed marriages, 3 kids from those marriages. Yeah, and I'm sure you're not alone. There's a lot of stigma around that, right? So you're feeling, I imagine, like I've already failed twice. God forbid I'd fail again. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I've got 3 kids. Who wants to be with a single mom? All that stuff you're making up, right? I love you too, Ashley. Thank you. I always love when you jump on and give me love. I love it when anybody jumps on and give me love. Just throwing that out there. Betsy, I struggled a lot with my weight. I can get very discouraged. Yeah, you're not the only one, right? So we create this vision or this picture that I need to look a certain way in order to attract in the love of my life, which is totally bullshit. Merton, I don't believe in myself. I will manifest, I think. Right. So if you just don't believe in your power and your ability to manifest, it's not going to happen. Now, all of you women are amazing. Agreed. Amen. Esther, sometimes I think I'm too strong of a personality. I'm too confusing a mix of masculine and feminine energies. Girl, I feel you. I've been there as well. And it's stuff that I have been working on and continuously work on. I'm always working on self-improvement and being my best self. But I promise you, the right complement for you will also be this beautiful, confusing mix of masculine and feminine. Like with Kurt and I would say he's 60-40 masculine, feminine, and I'm 60-40 feminine and masculine. Like it's a good fit. Jody, weight, looks, shyness. Betsy, widowed at 36, have a 3 and 5-year-old. I worry no one's going to want us or our baggage. Betsy, I have a great story for you about a past client. She was in a similar boat in her 30s, 2 kids. And guess what? She ended up manifesting a really, really, really amazing man. This was years ago, and she still texts me pictures and updates, and she just had to work through that self-confidence stuff. And then she attracted in the perfect man that was so happy to ultimately be the stepdad. Karen, so grateful for you, all the wonderful advice, guidance, and support. Grateful for this time to work on me. Grateful I woke up today. Exactly. 2020 is your year, as you have been saying since January. Now, I'm convinced I'm too unique. I don't believe I can manifest it either. I love myself, but it's hard to believe that anyone is out there for me. We've got to shift that story. I'm working with a woman right now, and that's been her badge of like, I'm just so unique. I'm so special. And that's why I haven't found him yet. But that uniqueness is what's blocking her. I have arthritis. I'm weak, not attractive, not too emotional, too needy. All BS, all BS. Betsy, I'm also a widow. I believe he's out there for me and you. Exactly. He absolutely is. I promise you, you all have the perfect complement to who you are. So here's one of the processes I use with my clients. So you write down that one limiting belief, and when we're done with the live stream, you can write down more. And I want you to get clear with yourself and ask yourself if it's true. Is it 100% true? Is every single woman on the planet who's a widow alone? Is every single woman on the planet who's shy alone? Is every single woman on the planet with arthritis alone or overweight alone? Whatever it is. Can you tell me that is 100% true? Can you find one person on the planet who might think differently? Even if it's your mom or your best friend or your sister, whatever it is, right? So we get caught up in these limiting beliefs, but then I want you to pull back. And I'm pretty sure all of you can say, no, it's not truth. It's not ultimate truth. It's a story. It's a story that I have created. It's a story that I'm hiding behind. It's a mask. It's a barrier to love, but it's not true. I promise you. And I gave this assignment to one of my clients as well, who's in her 40s, and she practices a certain religion, and she's concerned men don't want women in their 40s. And I'm like, guess what? Your homework is to start looking up women who found love in her 40s. And she automatically started thinking, she's like, I already know this. Like I follow Ariel Ford and read her story, and then this woman and this one and this woman. She's like, that's why I was following these women in their 40s that found love. I'm like, exactly. You need to start looking for the positive proof of what you want versus the affirmation of what you don't want. And so when it comes to that self-love and self-confidence, if you're constantly looking for examples of why you can't have what you want because you're overweight or you're a widow or you have arthritis or whatever the heck your story is, and I say this with love, but it's just a fucking story. It's a story. It's not true. Promise you. I actually used to be 25 pounds heavier than I am. And doing this self-love work, I naturally lost weight. I stopped eating, or I started eating better. I started exercising. And I kid you not, I hear this from the majority of my clients as well. When we start working together and doing the self-love work, they start making different decisions that support and love their body. And that usually, not with all of them, mind you, but with a lot of them, reflects in changes to their physical body because of how they're treating it and feeding it and things they're saying to it. I totally relate to the unique, special snowflake mind chatter. Yeah, and everyone thinks that. They think their story is unique. They think they're the hardest nut to crack. I hear that on almost every discovery call with a new client. They're like, but I'm so unique. Like, no, you're not. You're unique, but you're not. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not. Now, we all deserve love. Amen. Exactly. So let me go back to my notes, my loves. And so what you can do with that limiting beliefs is you can ask yourself if it's true. Can you find someone who might think differently? Can you look for an example? Like I told you with one of my clients who's in her 30s, a widow, and still ended up manifesting love. Or what do you want to believe? Because remember, a belief system is nothing more than a thought over and over and over again. It's not truth. You've just decided it's your belief system. What would your higher self say? What would you say to your daughter if she said that? Okay. Or one of my favorites is I place my hands on my heart and go down into my heart space. I want to put my attention, my focus here on love and say, all right, heart, what do you know to be true? Try it. Let's try it right now. Put your hands on your heart. Ask yourself what you know to be true. Bring that limiting belief down into your heart and say, hey, heart, is this true? What do I know to be true about myself, about my ability to give and receive love? See what comes up. Type it in. What came up for you? For me, is like, girl, you are so powerful. You're so beautiful. You can have whatever you desire, whenever you desire. Curious to know what came up for you. And just imagine if that was the voice that you listened to instead of this voice up here. So it's an easy choice, or maybe it's a hard choice, but in any given moment, you get to choose to listen to the fear, the ego. You get to look at what's happened in your past and recreate that. Or you get to decide to listen to your heart, to listen to love, to focus on what you want and where you're going and have hope and faith, belief, and expectation. Now, I realize this can be challenging, which is why I love coaching. I absolutely love it because it's holding women accountable to shifting their thoughts, their belief systems over a period of 6 months, because you've spent 20, 30, 40, 50 years creating this story. It's going to take some time to uncreate that story. Hope. I am love. That I love myself. Hate myself most days when I sabotage myself. Merton, on those days, that's when I would say you actually need to self-soothe and connect into your heart. Like, how would you talk to a kid and say, you know what, it's okay. I love you. You're doing the best you can. We all make mistakes. I'm a big, big fan of self-soothing. Like, just talk to yourself like a child and say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. So I want you, for step one, moving forward, to be doing this on a daily basis. When a fear and insecurity comes up, connect down into your heart and ask yourself, what's true? Can you find an example of someone who believes or has differently? I promise you, you can. And then from a practical point of view, think about it this way. If the thought is, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, no one wants to be with a widow, I need to be skinnier, whatever it is. If that's the thought, what action do you take or not take as a result? And then what results show up in your life? And I don't even think we need to answer the question, right? Like, you know, if you have a limiting belief, you're going to take actions that align and reinforce that. And that's the result you will get in your life. But imagine if instead you listen to your heart instead of your fear, your ego. And then the thought was, I'm amazing. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I'm funny. I make great money. Any man would be lucky to have me. What type of actions do you take or not take because of that thought? And then can you imagine the results of what's going to show up in your life? So can you see how something as simple as a thought, whether it's love-based or fear-based, affects the actions, which in turn affects the results that show up in your life? Give me an amen, a thumbs up, a hell yes, a whatever. If you understand, like, you know, where we talked about manifestation and thoughts creating reality, but now we're just talking about that practical aspect of thoughts leading to actions, leading to your results. Yes, Nell says, good. So that's part one. Let's go back to the formula. All right, so that was the self-love and confidence bit. Like I said, that was just one exercise, but you can see how powerful that is if you're putting yourself into check each and every day and saying, wait a second, do I really want to believe this, knowing it's going to affect the actions I take or don't take, which in turn affects my reality? You do that over time. And then once again, that's why I love coaching, because then you have someone like me to hold you accountable, because it can be easy to fall off the wagon, for sure. I get it. So that will start to create massive change. Now, the next part is you've got to remove or minimize that limiting BS, those limiting belief systems. All right. Oh, hi, Raina. Amen. Hell yes, it's mine. Karen, everything happens for a reason. Esther, I love doing that practice with jobs, to-dos. I could use this practice with love. Yeah, exactly, right? I know you're learning about that in Attract the One. Higher quality beliefs, higher quality questions lead to better actions. Well said, exactly. So part two of the formula, now we have the limiting BS, your belief systems, your blocks. And this is where I love to share with you my background in hypnosis and the brain and all the books I've read to understand the nature of personal reality. I hope you're all taking notes, because this is the first time I've done a masterclass in a very long time, and I feel like I'm just like, take it all, take all of my information. Okay, so the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what we want and why we want it. I'm trying to see if I have something here as in like an example. We'll use my water bottle. So let's say the conscious mind is up here, the lid, what you want and why you want it. Then like right below it is the analytical mind, and the rest is the subconscious. So the subconscious is 95%. So this is what you want and why you want it. The subconscious mind is actually the programming. It's your thoughts, your habits, your belief systems. It's what's actually running the show, which is why for many of us, you can want a thing, but not get it. Because your subconscious mind, the everything that's actually like running the inner programming, if you think of a computer, it's the operating system. These are your thoughts, your habits, your belief systems, stuff your parents said, things you've seen in society, all the bad dates you've had, like they're reinforcing a belief system. Your belief systems live in your subconscious mind. What you want lives in your conscious mind. And I love giving this example. Everyone wants to be, not everyone, but a lot of people want to be a millionaire or a billionaire, but not everybody is, because you don't get what you want. You get what you believe you can have. You get what you believe exist. And so that's why parts 1 and 2 of the formula are also important, because if you don't believe you can have it, and if you don't believe it exists, you will not get it, because your subconscious mind is running the show. And the challenge is that the majority of our days are autopilot. 95% of our thoughts are recycled. You're thinking the same thing over and over and over again, which is why the majority of people are getting the same results over and over and over again. But it's not enough to just do the conscious mind. You've got to get into the subconscious mind, which is where those belief systems are stored. And so the thing for you to know is that from the age of 1 to 7, your brain is in a completely different state. And it's much more in a subconscious state. And so it's taking everything in from your parents or whoever raised you, stuff you're seeing on television, commercials and shows. You're taking it all in. There's no filter. And you're creating this story and this belief system around what the world is. And so all of my clients, 100% of my clients, we have to go into the subconscious mind and work on the stories that were unconsciously handed to you by your parents. Or if not your parents, stuff you saw on TV, things you've read in books, like just the world coming at you, which is why to this day, I'm so cautious of the music I listen to, the shows I watch, the books I read, all this messaging coming into my mind, because I realize it has the ability to create a belief system within me. And so your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe. And whatever is known is safe. Your ego does the same thing. Your ego wants to protect you. So you could be alone, you could be single, and you could be unhappy. But to your ego, it's predictable. It's known. That's safe. And so your ego and your subconscious mind will actually keep you alone. It's going to protect you because it understands. It's like the known devil is safer than the unknown heaven, right? The known hell is safer than the unknown heaven. And so this is what's going on underneath the surface when it comes to the subconscious mind. And so the common blocks that I have seen, and I'd be curious to know which one do you think is yours? The common blocks that I have seen when it comes to the subconscious mind creating a story that then protects the woman from getting the love she wants is, one, time is running out, which means I'm getting too old to have children. No man would like me. There's no man in my age range. Men just want younger women, body issues, whatever it is. Time is running out is a very big block that I see. Second one is the fear of commitment. And surprisingly, even though so many women want love, they actually have this fear of commitment. They have this fear of being seen, of diving all the way in, of truly exposing themselves and once again committing to a man. I struggled with this one for a while too. I mean, I've struggled with most of these, but that was a big one for me. So there's the fear of commitment. And this could just be the fact that growing up, your parents were divorced or they fought and you just saw like what marriage did. And that was what happened for me. Like my parents were divorced. They've been divorced more than once to other people. And just seeing that dynamic of like, love is not trustworthy. Like, I don't know if I want to commit because commitment equals fighting and then fighting equals divorce. So if you just commit, then you end up getting divorced. So why would I do that to myself? So that's the story I made up. Because once again, as a kid, you make everything up to be about you. So everything that's happening, like mommy and daddy are fighting and you're like, it's my fault. 3, the not good enough syndrome. I see that a lot. And that kind of goes to part 1, the belief that you can have it. And so we typically all have these limiting beliefs. And one of the big ones is I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. Mertem, based on what you've said, I'd say that's probably a big one for you. And then the fear of intimacy and vulnerability. So really being able to just share your hopes and dreams. I see this happen a lot with women and men who've been sexually abused or have had trauma in their past. And so they're creating this block of like, it's not safe. It's not safe for me to truly expose myself. Therefore, I'm going to prevent myself from having a relationship because relationships aren't safe. So which one resonates with you? 1, the time is running out. 2, the fear of commitment. 3, the not good enough syndrome. 4, the fear of intimacy or vulnerability. Comment in. And then I just want you to know, similar to my story when I was 16, these blocks cause you to build a heart wall, to build a wall around your heart. And this is what I help my clients take down. Because if you have that protective wall around your heart, you're never going to allow a man in. You're never going to attract in the relationship that you desire. Because once again, your ego, your subconscious mind is trying to protect you. And you don't get what you want, you get who you are. So if the pattern, the belief system going on underneath the surface is I'm not good enough, or time is running out, or there's no good men, or I can't really show who I am, your reality is going to reflect that, period. Raina, 1 and 4. Martan, yes, time is running out for me. I'm 20. My teenage years went by without a serious boyfriend. Oh, bless your heart. You're so cute, because women in their 30s are like, oh my God, I'm 30. Time is running out. Women in their 40s are like, oh my God, I'm 40. Time is running out. Women in their 50s are like, oh my God, I'm 50. Time is running out. Like, I can just reflect back to you that you think it is, but you're also only 20. And I would say the same thing to a woman who's only 30 or only 40 or only 50. Age doesn't matter. And yet we create these ideas that there is like this ticking clock. And once we reach a certain age, then we can't make any more money or get a new job or make more money, get a new job, find a lover, have a child, move across country, start over again. We just have like this imaginary, like ticking time clock, right? Like this, just whatever, which is bullshit. Anywho, so which one comes up for you? So how do we move through that? There's a lot of different tools and certifications that I have. Like, I've been on this journey for quite a while, because as I've explained to you, it's not enough consciously. Like, yeah, there's something to be said about talking and journaling and visualization and meditation, and all these tools are really powerful, but there's other tools that are going to get more into the subconscious mind. So some of the things I do with my client, like neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, tapping, emotional freedom technique, and then hypnosis. So there's this inner child healing process that I'll do with my clients. It's extremely, extremely powerful. And there's plenty of other tools I do, but these are the 3 I wanted to share with you. All of these help you to reprogram your subconscious belief systems. And this is the hard part. You can't do this with your conscious and logical mind, or if you did, it's going to take a very, very long time. But as everything I've already shared with you and what I've seen with myself and my clients, because the subconscious mind is running the show, it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to just like consciously power your way through it. Because once again, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And so if who you are is the 95%, those belief systems, that BS, those fears, those blocks, the heart wall, the insecurities, you're going to get that. Your reality is going to reflect that back to you. Does that make sense? And so, like I said before, the crazy thing about the subconscious mind is it also just creates a story that has nothing to do with what happened, because it's your brain, especially under the age of 7, is in a completely different brainwave state. And so, for example, mommy and daddy are fighting, and your 4-year-old mind makes up the story. It's my fault they're fighting. I'm taking up too much space. I shouldn't be here. I don't matter. And so when you're older, you put everyone else's needs above your own. You're a people pleaser. You have a history of dating men who take advantage of you. They're narcissistic, whatever. And so the inner child healing hypnosis and all these other internal subconscious tools is the most powerful part, I believe, of any program, which is why I'd say about 90% of the work I do with my clients is internal, because it's not what you want, it's who you are. You can go out on a million dates, but if you believe men are untrustworthy, if you believe you're unworthy, none of them will work out. Or if they do, you'll self-sabotage, because you're always going to get what you believe is possible. So we've got to do that internal work to reprogram the subconscious mind. Esther, I think it's more the limiting belief that it has to be hard to find the right person. It doesn't. You know, like I said, when I met Kurt, it took 5 days. I wasn't even trying. And I have a lot of those stories, not just for me, but for my clients. Karen, when we first started working together, it was the not good enough syndrome. Yeah, it was, but I'm really working on changing that. Exactly. Now, that's how it feels. Analytically, I know I'm a catch. I know I deserve love. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm great. However, when it doesn't work out, I go straight to that place of course it didn't work out. Exactly. So really working on that mindset, knowing that it's coming from this old story and old belief system. You got it, girl. Client success story. So Malaysia, this was back in 2018. She said the most powerful part of her program was the inner child healing hypnosis. Shortly after that, she stopped smoking cigarettes. Shortly after that, she blocked her ex, who was constantly like reaching out to her, just more of like, hey, I missed you, or what's going on, but he like wasn't going to commit, just like stupid text. Shortly after, a couple months later, she met Javier. By the end of 2019, in December, they were married. Today, October 2020, happily living together in Oklahoma. So that's just one example. I've worked with countless clients over the years, but I love it because she showed up and she did the work. And she told me, she's like, Emyrald, like everything was in my calendar, the workbooks, the hypnosis, the videos, like I treated it like a job. And that's why I'm not surprised that things shifted so quickly for her. But she really always talks about that inner child healing hypnosis was so powerful for her and so important. Betsy, yes, Nell, same here. See, so you can all see we all struggle with the same crap. We have a lot of the same stories, especially culturally. A lot of you are from the US. And so we unconsciously receive this stuff growing up, but it's our responsibility to, as adults now, to consciously decide to clear that shit and to consciously decide what we want to create and to attract moving forward. That is your responsibility as a grown-ass person. All right, part 3. How are we doing? Are we still with me? Are we excited? Are we enjoying this? Give me a thumbs up. Throw me a heart. Whatever. It seems like you're all enjoying it. You're all participating and commenting. So let me show you the formula. Let's go back one more time because now we're on part 3. Massive inspired action. This comes third because you can, like I said before, you can go out on a million dates, but it won't matter if you don't do the self-love and confidence work. If you don't work through those old limiting BS stories, you've got to do those first. Then you bring in the massive inspired action, and that result is manifesting your partner. And like I said, the majority of my clients take a break from dating when we're working together for like the first 4 months because they're working on this part. Then the last 2 months, when they're feeling good, that's when they do the massive inspired action, like dating or networking or putting themselves out there. And that's when it happens fast. So a lot of people make the mistake. They go straight here. But if they haven't done these 2 parts, not going to work. It's all 3 parts of the equation. Does that make sense? Have you perhaps, like, we live in a world that puts so much emphasis on taking action versus aligned action. And aligned action manifests when you also have done the self-love work, when you have worked through your limiting belief stories, limiting belief systems. So let me go back to my notes, beauties. Okay, so the massive inspired action, I already said that, right? Like, you have to do the first 2 parts. You have to see your value and work on the self-love and confidence. You have to break down that heart wall, those internal belief systems, that BS. You have to do that inner child work and ultimately help yourself realize that love is safe and start telling that new story of why it's possible for you. So you have to do all that work first before you can take action. And that's the struggle I see. So many people like just take action and they keep getting the same results over and over and over again because they're only taking action. They're not doing the first 2 parts of the formula. So where I come in, my specialty, and I'm really good at this, is I help women to see their inner blocks. I help them to see their limiting beliefs. I help them to realize the story they're creating in their reality. And then I help them remove and to shift and to change, right? That's the power, the value of coaching. You have that third party who's external that can see what you can't see. It's like if you were in a maze and you were lost and I'm above and I have a bird's eye view and I'm like, turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left. Like I can see it, you can't. Or have you ever had a girlfriend? And trust me, I've had this happen a lot of times. You have a girlfriend and she's just like in a horrible relationship and she's telling you all the stuff she's putting up with. And you're like, what the heck are you doing? I would never put up with that. I'd never be in that relationship. It's so much easier for someone outside of it to see it because you're wrapped up in it emotionally. And that's a blessing and a curse, let's just say. And so you can't see it when you're in the eye of the storm. You can't see it when you're lost in the maze. So having that third person that didn't grow up with you, because you've grown up with you, you've lived with you, you think your situation is normal or unique. It's not. It's just a story. Like, you can have what you want, and that's where I come in. That's my role of showing you where you're blocking yourself. Then once you do all that stuff, that's when you take the massive inspired action. And I call it inspired action because you're not taking action just for the sake of taking action. One of my most recent clients, Jenny, after 6 months of working together, and we did a little bit extended program, she was ready to do online dating. And she had been putting it off. She's like, I don't know if I'm ready. And then she felt it. I didn't tell her to do it. She maybe started talking about it. I'm like, yeah, when it feels right. And a day or two later, she decided to create her profile. She had a flood of interest from men. First date, meh. Second date, amazing. Right? Like months later, still just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into their relationship, their needs, their desires. If she had tried online dating on month 1, wouldn't have happened. Or even if she had met him somehow, she wouldn't have done the first 2 steps in the equation. So she would have been in a different place of self-love and self-confidence and limiting belief systems that I personally believe she either wouldn't have met him, or if she did, she would have self-sabotaged because she would have fell back into those old patterns, old thought processes, old habits of whatever it is, right? Like how Nell was saying, she would have fallen back into like, see, of course it didn't work because I'm not good enough. I'm a single mom, not thin enough. I intimidate men, whatever it is. So that's why those first 2 steps have to happen before you take action, like online dating or going out into the world or networking or being set up on a date. Does that make sense, girls, ladies, women, men? And so when it comes to massive inspired action, there is something to be said as far as manifesting goes that you have to go first. You have to leap and the net will appear. If you decide and make the decision, the universe will conspire to support you. You can't be waiting in the energy of waiting, because then the universe is going to match you in the energy of waiting. And so you take action for things to shift. But like I said, it's not enough to just do an online dating profile or go out on more dates if you haven't done the first 2 parts of the equation. So you do the first 2 parts of the equation. Then you take your own individual correct inspired action. And so, for example, this is unique for every woman. If a client tells me, should I do online dating? It's usually, should you? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Do you feel like if you did dating that it would help you as far as like you're feeling excited about it, you want to go out on dates and speak your truth and communicate? Or does it create this anxiety inside of you? Does it feel hopeless? Because the energy, if you do online dating from that energy, it's not going to work out for you. Look at the energy you're putting into it. Like the anxiety, this is hopeless, it's not going to work, versus I'm in a great place and this is feeling good and I'm excited to meet some new people, and maybe he's a friend or maybe he turns into more. That's a very different energy. And when my clients go into online dating with that energy, when it feels right for them, once again, there isn't like a timeline of every woman. It's not. You have to make sure it's feeling right for you. That's when things are going to work out. And so it's important for you to be in touch with your intuition so you know what actions to take or not take. And these are also some exercises I help my clients through, is you finding your truth and what's right for you, because I don't have those answers. I have a system and a process to guide you through to build up the self-love and confidence, to reduce those limiting belief systems, help you get in touch with your intuition so that you can take the correct inspired action for you, which will equal manifesting your partner. So this process, and there's no other way to say it, it's a very personal process that I guide my women through, that we test and tweak over months. That's why my coaching program is 6 months. And so it's not something I could particularly share on the masterclass and say, here's an example, because it is a deep process. It's something that you need to craft and cultivate for you. And when you think about getting different results in your life, you can't use the same tools, the same mindset, the same belief systems, the same thoughts, and the same actions you have used for the last 30 or 40 years and expect to get different results. Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I think a lot of the problem I see with people, with women, is they think they can just keep doing what they've been doing and it will somehow magically change. Like, that's not how things work. If you sit on the couch eating Cheetos all day, every day, and expect to lose weight without changing your diet or exercise or mindset, it's not going to work. But metaphorically, that's what I see a lot of women do. They expect things to change without actually doing any type of work. So when it comes to the massive inspired action, you have to do it after you're using different tools, after you have a different self-worth, after you have a different mindset. So then when you take the action, it will bring you a drastic and completely different result. Does that make sense? Can I get a hell yes, an amen, a heart, a thumbs up? Do we understand ultimately the premise of the formula, why they go together the way they do, and why they're in the order they are, and why have some things in your life haven't changed because you haven't changed. You haven't done the certain steps in the formula. Oh yeah, client success story. I already shared this one. So Jennifer, after 6 months of working together, doing the work, she changed first. She did the first 2 parts of the formula before she took inspired action of online dating, and then she met him easily, her second date, right? I have another client, Elle, after doing the work outlined here in the formula, again, it was her second date. That's it, her second date. Now, she did the work first. Then when she decided to do online dating, it was her second date. She met him. Now it's 6 months later. He just bought them a house. They're moving in together, talking about a baby in the future. Things can move really, really fast when you show up and do the work. The formula is the formula for a reason. Like, can you imagine 6 months of like dating someone and just like knowing he's the one and getting a house and talking about a baby and a ring and a future? Like, your mindset is certainly in the way if you don't believe that that's possible. Nell says, hell yeah, exactly. Amen, sister. So let me go back to the formula once more. The zing, formula for love, baby. So step 1, self-love and confidence. Step 2, remove the limiting BS. Step 3, massive inspired action equals manifesting your partner. Okay, so like I said, things will shift quickly when you actually put to practice the formula. Tori manifested her man, a wedding, their dream home. They just had a baby girl, all within the period of 2 years. That's it. Marija, 4 months to meet Edmund. 2 years later, they are still together and happily living life together, traveling the world together. Brett, she actually hired me to work on her current relationship. Before our first session, they split up. Brett and I continue to work together privately. After 4 sessions, she got clear on what she wanted. She met the guy who fulfilled every item on her list. Today, 3 years later, still together, traveling the world together, super duper happy. And I have so many more love stories and testimonials, but I want to just remind you what's possible when you do the formula. So if you're loving this, give me a thumbs up, a hell's yes. If you want to go deeper into this formula and applying it specifically for you, I am excited to share with you that as of right now, today, I have 2 spots available in my private coaching practice. Let me type that in, and you can apply. And I want to help you create these own results in your life. To apply the formula for you, the formula for love. So all that being said, I want to finish up, and I know we're going over on time. That's okay though. I think it's good stuff. With the common BS I hear from clients that get in their way. And the reason I share this with you is right now you might have some BS in your mind. You might be thinking, oh man, I'd love to do private coaching, or I'd love to meet my man, but. So I'm going to share with you some of the common BS I've heard from clients and the remedy to it, because I want you to have it all. And I know you're here because you want to have it all. So let's dig into this, shall we? What if it doesn't work for me? I hear that one quite a bit. And if you show up and do the work, honestly, it can't not work. And I have a recent story myself, actually. I just hired a business coach back in August, and I had that same fear, like, what if it doesn't work for me? And then I'm out the money and I'm a failure and I suck, was kind of my line of thinking. And so what I did is said, no, it's going to work for me. I'm making the commitment. It's going to work. I'm going to be her testimonial. And within a month, I'd already made back my investment. And so I've seen this happen time and time with my clients. If they show up and do the work and expect it to work for them and saying, I am committed, this is going to happen, it works. Now, I've never had a client do this, but if you showed up and you're fearful, like, oh, it won't work, then you're probably not really going to do the work and your mind's not in it, then it's not going to work for you. It's like anything in life. If you hired a personal trainer and you showed up and did what they suggested, your body's going to change. If you hired a personal trainer, but you didn't really work out and you stayed home and kept eating Doritos and doing the same thing you've been doing, it's not going to work, right? So if any of you have that fear or insecurity, all I can do is share with you that if you decide it's going to work for you, if you decide to show up and do the work, it will. I've seen it happen time and time again over the last 4 years, period. Now, the next thing, and this was my own limiting belief for a while as well, before I hired my most recent business coach, is what if I can get there myself? I'm just going to keep listening to the podcast and reading the books. I did that journey for a while. But I also came to this point where I realized the free stuff can only get you so far. And honestly, it wasn't until I hired a love coach and started enrolling in programs that things really started to shift for me. And I know part of this is a self-worth thing, because when you invest in yourself and spend money, you're at a different level of commitment. A quick side story. So I just signed a new client. We'll call her A. She emailed me and she's like, Emyrald, I really want to work with you, but I don't have the money. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, great. And she's like, can we work together in November? I'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, yeah, but you have to put down a deposit. I'm not going to save a spot for you. Sorry, but no. So like, it's $1,000 deposit. And once again, she's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't have the money, but okay, I'm going to figure it out. I want to save this spot to work with you. 3 days later, she manifested not only $1,000, but $5,000. Why? Because she decided she wanted it. She was going to figure it out. So when you say, like, what if I can figure it out myself? Or what if it doesn't work for me? Or I can't afford it? You're blocking yourself off from the flow of the universe. So I love this story that she was actually just trying to manifest $1,000 and she manifested 5,000 because she invested in herself. She decided it was going to work for her. And then the money showed up. That wasn't her responsibility to control the how. So what if I can get there myself? Ultimately, how I talked myself out of that eventually is like, look, stop doing the same things and expecting a different result. If I could do it myself, I would already have it. And that was the big one of like, you know what? Who has what I want, and can I hire them to teach me how to get there? So in the very beginning, I was caught up in fear. Now I'm much more of like, all right, if you have what I want, what's it cost? Teach me. Teach me a great one. Another thing I've heard is, what if I can't afford it? And I'm just going to keep telling my story. I had the same fear when I hired my business coach. I had the same fear when I hired my first love coach. And the way I look at it, which has really helped me and some of my clients, is I look at it as an investment in myself, investment in future happiness for life. It's like going to school for love. And so like, yeah, I could go to therapy for the rest of my life, or be unhappy for the rest of my life, or keep attracting in the same types of relationships for the rest of my life. But what does that cost me for my mental health and happiness and well-being? Versus, or I could do this program and learn these things, and not only learn these things for love, but this process is duplicated for all things, like for money, for career. It's an investment in yourself for life. And can you say that about a purse or clothes or even a car? And so I personally believe the greatest example you could ever make is in yourself. And at this point, I've spent at least $100,000 in myself, whether it was like school or coaching or programs, and it's really paid off. And I think about it, if I had never taken the leap and invested in my first coaching program, I wouldn't be a coach. I wouldn't be running a 6-figure business. I wouldn't be with my partner. I wouldn't be living in Colorado. I wouldn't have just manifested 3 months in Turkey. Like, none of that would have happened if I hadn't have decided to invest in myself, work on my self-love and my confidence and my limiting belief systems. I just wouldn't be where I am. And so I'm actually really grateful that I have worked through that belief system or fear of I can't afford it. And then there's also this morbid example, and don't hate me for saying this, but if like someone had a gun to your head and said, you have 72 hours to come up with the money, I think you would. So the I can't afford it is really just the I don't believe in myself, or I don't believe that I'll get the results, or the I don't want to spend the money, so I'm just going to say I can't afford it, which I'm right now working with a young woman. She's 22. She's figuring out weekly payments from her tips. Yeah. So I can't afford it, I think, is such a BS excuse, but I've been there. I get it. And then 2 more, because once again, I don't want you to hold yourself back from some stupid BS. It's bullshit. Not enough time. I don't hear this one as much, but I've gotten it from some like really high performing women. And what I say to that is, I'm like, honey, if you honestly don't have time for a couple hours a week for coaching, you don't have time for a partnership or a family or a baby. Like, come on. If something's important to you, you'll make time for it, period. And then the last one, and this is the big one, and I've struggled with this myself, is that fear of commitment. This is the biggest block you need to work through, because if you can't commit to yourself, if you can't commit to your personal development, if you can't commit to your self-growth, if you can't commit to checking yourself and your limiting belief systems, you can't commit to self-love, honestly, you won't attract in a committed partnership. And a lot of women, like, they like sign up for a course and never finish it, or they commit to something in their lives and don't show up, or they say yes when they mean no. Like, all of these have to do with a fear of commitment. And so you have to be the one to commit to yourself first. You have to be the one to show up for yourself first. You have to become the committed partner you want to attract in order for you to attract in that type of committed relationship. So those are some of the common BSs I see. Those are my thoughts and replies on them, because once again, they're just a story. And like I said, with one of my most recent clients, like, she manifested 5K in a weekend after she told herself I can't afford it, and then changed her mindset around it. I had another client that was like, no, I can't invest in myself. I'm not worthy. And then she's like, well, wait a second, I could just ask for some extra time at work, overtime. And then I had another client who was like, well, wait a second, I'm supporting my parents and spending all this money. What about me? Right? So it's time to start shifting those BS stories, because I want to remind you, like, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you don't do anything to change, nothing's going to change, and you won't actually attract in the love that you desire. So once again, private coaching, I have 2 spots left in 2020. I dropped the link in. It's emeraldsinclair.com/apply. And you fill out an application. We jump on a call. It's no pressure, strings attached. We talk about your love blocks, your goals, an action plan to get you there in 6 months. So I've opened up more time in my schedule over the coming weeks so that I can chat with more people. One thing I have noticed, though, is that these spots do go fast. So if you're feeling it, strike while the iron is hot, fill out an application. Let's get on the phone, let's chat, and go from there. So to finish things off with a bang, and then of course, if you have any questions, you can type them in. I want to take just 1 minute. I want 1 minute of your time where you can focus on what you want to attract in the next 6 months. So are you like Marija? Are you a successful exec, a high-performing woman who doesn't actually think men of her caliber exist, but you still have that hope that you can meet your prince in the next 4 months? Or are you maybe like Elle, where you not only want to meet an amazing man, but you want to be discussing house and baby in the next 6 months? Do you want to learn much more to trust your intuition and take inspired action like Jennifer? And then you feel inspired to go online and meet him on the second date. Maybe you're like Malaysia and you need to love yourself and get over your ex and then be in that space to attract in your future husband. So close your eyes. Let's just take a minute. I'll look at the clock. Close your eyes and feel into it. Imagine it's April 27th of 2021, 6 months down the road. What is it that you really want to attract in? Has he showed up? How do you feel? What are you talking about? What type of actions are you taking? How differently does your life look with him by your side? Do you feel happy, safe, supported, cherished? Like, let your subconscious mind, let your visual or your imagination put that image in of what you really, really desire in the next 6 months. Where do you want to be? And then when you have that clarity, the really important question for you is, are you willing to do what it takes to become the person who is a match for that type of partnership, that type of lifestyle, that type of financial abundance, that type of love? Are you willing to do what it takes over the next 6 months to become that person who is an energetic match for it? Who believes she can have it, who believes that he exists, who is taking inspired action? Just another way of saying, are you ready to put to practice the unique formula for love for you? If so, I absolutely invite you to click the link and apply for private coaching, and let's create your own customized formula for love map in the next 6 months. That's going to get you everything that you desire. So do we have any questions? I know we've already gone over on time, but we'll give it 5 or 10 minutes if we have any remaining questions that weren't covered. There is also an encore training on Thursday, the 29th at 7 p.m. Colorado, 9 p.m. Eastern. You're more than welcome, of course, to join us again, ask questions. I find that when I learn something a second time, it sinks in deeper. And so please do join us a second time. All right, any questions before we wrap this up? Curious, like, what did you most resonate with? What really clicked into place for you? Did you have any aha moments? Do you see now more clearly where you're struggling and why it hasn't happened for you? Let's hear it. No, I'm not ready yet. There's still work to go, I guess. Yeah, and you're just getting ready to be ready, as Abraham Hicks says, because if you were ready for a thing, it would be in your life. And that's just the best way I could describe it. If you were an energetic match for a thing, it would be in your life. If you don't have it, it's because you're not an energetic match. You don't believe it exists for you. Now, thank you. You are so welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your energy. Thank you for just being open and honest and vulnerable. And yeah, I'm not seeing any questions come in, so I guess everyone's feeling amazing. Betsy, you are so welcome. Esther, love this. Good confirmation of what I've been working on and attract the one. Exactly. All right, my loves. Well, then I am going to let you go. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. put the formula for love to practice, a reminder that it applies to all other areas of your life as well. Raina, thank you. Love learning about manifesting and the podcast. Yeah, thank you. Ladies, if you're not listening to the Manifest It All podcast, get on it. New episode drops every Wednesday. Tomorrow, a brand new episode. Make sure you go have a listen. All right, loves. Well, I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Have an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous day.